Howdy, I'm Kyle McClenigan, the multimedia editor for the Battalion, and welcome to this week's episode of the Batt Signal. On Monday, February 21st, Texas A&M President Kathy Banks attended a special session of the Student Government Association called by Senator Iman Ahmed to discuss current concerns regarding Fish Camp, Draggieland, and the Battalion. Here with me are the two news editors who covered the event, Kobe Scrutter and Grant McLaurin. Thanks for being with us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, why did the Student Senate feel the need to call this special session?
So, after many decisions initiated by the Banks' new administration, students sought further explanations for the underpinning of those decisions, as well as vying for a voice in those decisions.
Mm-hmm. And was there any main theme that President Banks presented during the questioning?
One theme that President Banks talked a lot was a need for increased communication between the administration and students and the establishment of more formal channels for this communication.
And what did Banks have to say about the university's restructuring?
So Banks indicated that it was to reduce administrative waste and that would allow more money to be invested into the students. She also mentioned how the merger of the College of Liberal Arts, Sciences, and Geosciences would increase interdisciplinary education, which is something that she sees as necessary. This merger will not affect any degree plans or curriculum, as the consulting company MGT did not look at this aspect of the university.
And how did Banks respond to questioning regarding Fish Camp?
Banks said that the Vice President of Student Affairs, Joe Ramirez, had required Fish Camp to change their mission statement, removing diversity as one of their core values, as well as removing the quote, creating a universally accepted support system from their mission statement. Banks responded explaining that the mission statement must share the values and traditions of Texas A&M University. When asked whether or not she agreed with the Vice President of Student Affairs' decision to remove diversity as one of their values, Banks responded by saying, quote, in the mission statement, there is a clear statement that Fish Camp is to, quote, share the values and traditions of Texas A&M University. It is important that we align the values of that event with the mission statement.
So in that quote from Banks, it kind of sounds like she's saying diversity and inclusion are not core values of Texas A&M. What do y'all think about that?
So I have to say she may have been trapped in her own sentence structure, or that she was indicating something that she truly didn't mean, because diversity is in fact a part of Aggie core values. Although not explicitly, it's something that each Aggie strives to be more diverse.
Yeah, definitely. What about when it came to questions regarding Draggieland?
Banks did not really answer how the decision regarding Draggieland was reached. She said that this was something that she was not privy to. But she did say that, quote, my understanding of the events is that there was consideration of an application by a student organization to sponsor Draggieland, and that application was accepted. She further said, we did not disallow Draggieland. However, many senators pressed her on this interpretation of events, including Sam Jeffress, who said, there are many members of the MSC Town Hall right here in this very room who were told that their Draggieland 2022 proposal could not be submitted, or else the implication was that there will be people within the MSC terminated. He further asked, why was a Draggieland proposal not allowed to be submitted in the first place? Banks responded saying that she was unaware of this conversation with MSC Town Hall or any of these events.
Did President Banks have any explanation for why her administration walked back on its demands regarding the battalion?
Yeah, so no. She noted at the beginning of her speech how she felt, quote, proud about how much the student body cared about free speech, democracy, and individual rights, how she would never attempt to limit the voice of students. And Banks also said, last fall I vowed to bring back the Department of Journalism, and at no point were there any plans of a reduction to bad funding or their loss of the Memorial Student Center space. However, this contradicts the battalion's editor-in-chief, which was told on Thursday, February 10, that the battalion would in fact lose its MSC space.
Did Banks clarify the position of the battalion as a student organization?
She did, in response to a question by one of the senators asking whether she could confirm that the battalion will remain a student organization under her administration for as long as she served. She replied with, yes, I don't think that we can ask a student organization to give up their status.
Okay, well, great. Thank y'all so much for covering this event and for coming in to share your knowledge.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
On Tuesday, February 22nd, candidates for the next student body president of Texas A&M University met in the MSC flag room for a debate. News editor Aubrey Vogel is here with us to discuss some of the highlights. Thanks for being with us.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
What were some of the highlights from the debate?
All 9 of the student body president candidates attended the debate to share their platforms and the reasons why they intended to run for the position. And so there was definitely some debate back and forth, as well as, just the sharing of platforms that, students are really passionate about and why they want to run for the position. And so I think a standout candidate platform was definitely candidate Case Harris, who made a push for the increase of traditions education. One of the ways he intended to do that was to increase the amount of tradition education in Hullabaloo U courses, which is now a required course for all freshmen entering the university. Case said, "It's a great opportunity for us as a university and even SGA to teach students what's important to Aggieland and what's important to Texas A&M. It's not that people don't care about or don't like the traditions at Texas A&M. It's that a lot of people don't know they exist or what they're about or why they're important to us. I think they're so important to us because they unify us and make sure every Aggie is included, and that's such a beautiful thing." Another moment that stood out was when candidate Nick Zhang was heavily questioned by his peers after revealing his lack of platform. Stating that he decided to run for the position on a whim, sport management junior Nicholas Zhang said even though he does not have a background in student government, he has a burning passion for the university and the voices of students. He said, "I want to use this platform to point out what makes this place so special and how it feels the university is straying away from its true identity. I personally decided to commit to this university since there's nothing like Aggieland and the traditions of this university. To me, what makes Aggieland special does not have to do with athletics, student government, or even academics. The real thing that makes this university special is the traditions and community that we have. Traditions like Midnight Yell, Silver Taps, Bonfire Remembrance, Muster, Aggie Rings, Placing a Penny on Sully, our yells and whooping, the Corps Cadets, and the old tradition of building the greatest bonfire this world has ever seen, which is represented by a burning desire of all Aggies to beat the hell out of TU. No other place on earth has such a rich culture like this university has."
Okay, great. And so why are student elections so important?
So the students elected in this election will represent the student body for the next year. So kind of who we're voting for is super important to who is going to be the voice of students, the bridge between administration and the student body. And so you really want to make sure that you're electing someone who is big on your beliefs and is going to go forward with the platforms and the promises they make in those.
And when do students have the opportunity to vote?
So voting will actually start next week and will run from March 3rd at 9 a.m. to March 4th at 12 p.m. And voting is super simple and can be done by visiting vote.tamu.edu. But also for a special look at candidates, be on the lookout for our candidate edition going out early next week to give you a little more on the platforms behind student body president and yell leaders.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
For our final segment, I'd like to welcome our assistant sports editor, Jordan Epp, who will be reading his commentary from last week's newspaper titled Tangible Value of Print.
When you walk into my apartment, you won't see much decoration. I lack the creative eye and desire to adorn my walls with mementos and ornaments. I only have a few keepsakes I brought along with me from my hometown to my newfound home. As someone who doesn't consider himself materialistic, I don't keep many physical items for reasons beyond practicality or sentimentality. Some of these items include a gifted picture frame with a photograph of me and my girlfriend, a flag of my favorite football team since I was a child, and gaming consoles to connect me with my high school friends as well as some others. One collection in my possession I would consider unique to me, however, is a file holder in which I keep old Sports Illustrated magazines I found special in one way or another. Whether it is the design, the story, or the moment, if I feel compelled to save it, then I will file it away for the future. But why do I keep them? If it's the design, couldn't I find the images online? If it's the story, couldn't I read it online? If it's the moment, couldn't I find the videos online? Stories are best appreciated in the moment. The print copies of these magazines are the closest things I have to this memory. They honor the past in a way that's tangible and not just viewed on a screen behind a sequence of ones and zeros. It's a way for me to own a piece of history. Online copies can help preserve the moments I would never was able to keep myself, or provide additional content unavailable in print format. Print copies preserve history that can be kept in my hands. To me, it's no different than owning a picture frame. Photographs hold moments and stories eternally in a tangible way. We put them on our walls to decorate our lives with them. We choose our favorite stories to show off in our homes, and we make it easier to look at and reminisce on our memories of them. If the value of existence is greater than or equal to tangible value, the practicality of saving every photo on a hard drive would be far more favorable. But we don't. They're not equal. That's why we frame photos. It goes beyond the idea of tradition. It's the ability to trap a moment in time like a living fossil in amber. So, in my room, I have a few items. I have Sports Illustrated magazines I saved with various covers, such as UConn star guard Paige Becker's winning Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, the Chicago Cubs celebrating the moment they broke the 71-year-old curse of the Billy Goat, former New England Patriots receiver Julian Edelman making the improbable catch to overcome the Atlanta Falcons' infamous 28-3 lead, and more than a dozen more stories that define sports history in different ways to me. And I have that picture of my girlfriend and me, because the moments worth saving and remembering are the moments worth physically owning.
This week's contributors are Kobe Scrutter, Grant McLaurin, Aubrey Vogel, and Jordan Epp. This episode was produced and edited by Kyle McClinigan.